I'm Vicki Hogarth and welcome to Southwest Magazine. Canadian actor Benjamin Hollingsworth is one of the original cast members on the heartfelt small-town world of Virgin River. The hit Netflix series has captured audiences around the globe with its comforting mix of romance, community, and breathtaking scenery. While the story is set in a fictional Northern California town, the series is actually filmed in British Columbia, whose forests, mountains, and coastal landscapes help give Virgin River its unmistakable charm and atmosphere. Hollingsworth plays Dan Brady, a complicated former Marine whose emotional journey has become one of the show's most compelling storylines. Over the seasons, Brady has evolved from troubled outsider to a layered character, searching for redemption, love, and belonging in the tight-knit community of Virgin River. His relationship with Bree has faced ups and downs, especially the dramatic end of Season 7. As viewers eagerly await news about what could happen in Season 8, Hollingsworth joins us to talk about the enduring popularity of the series, filming in British Columbia, and what it's like to be part of one of the most beloved shows on television. Benjamin, you won't believe this. The last time I spoke with you about Virgin River was 2022. And I know it was already a hit show by then, but now it's officially Netflix's longest running show, which is wild. What does it feel like to be a part of something that is making history in that way?
It's surreal. Someone told me the other day that there's 4,000 original Netflix live, pieces of movies and TV on Netflix, and that there's 2,000 series. The fact that we are the longest running out of all of those is it's mind-boggling.
So when you play a character like Brady, who's already extremely complex, but you're able to play him for so many seasons, what kind of gift is that to an actor who gets to engage and evolve a character for that long a period of time?
Well, I love Brady, and so that helps. It definitely is important that you like the character you're playing. Brady's got so many different levels. He's such an interesting guy. He's on a bit of a redemption arc, so I get to play this long, slow burn of him, going one step forward, two steps back, and making mistakes along the way. But he's trying to be a better version of himself, and to be able to stay with that and live with that character, you become best friends. I know Brady inside and out at this point. And who knows, maybe another 7 years with him, we'll see.
At a certain point, do you find that you, Benjamin, become more a part of Brady, or is it the other way around, or do people confuse you for your character? At what point does it sort of start to blur? In what ways, I guess, have you influenced Brady?
Yeah, and then I always influence all my characters because, after all, you kind of start with me, and so I always try and put elements of myself into the characters, and I use that toward building empathy in them and fleshing them out as real people. You kind of start with this, the basic ideas of what a character is and the set circumstances, and then you add complexity to it, you add nuance, and you add all these different qualities that make him up, and a lot of that's taken from my own life, and some of it I use from putting my imagination to work, and like what it would be like to be stabbed in jail. Like I can't pull on that experience, but it's fun.
You obviously had many physically demanding scenes this season, especially when it came to fighting wildfires. How do you prepare for those kind of intense scenes that aren't necessarily, the romantic drama, but definitely take a lot out of you as an actor?
I play a lot of hockey. I stay very active in the gym, but really, truly, I've got 3 kids, and running around after them and play fighting and doing all the sports with them. And we were just got off spring break, and I was carrying my youngest, who's not so young anymore, 5 years old. She's like 40 pounds, around Disneyland 18 times. It was like, yeah, you get workouts, and not necessarily fighting a fire, but putting out some at the house for sure.
I actually saw some of your photos on Instagram, actually, of the family vacation to Disney. But what's it like filming? You're Canadian, so to film in Canada, when we think most of the time, I know that Vancouver offers an alternative to Hollywood, but to be able to, and coming from Brockville as your place of origin too, a beautiful town for us Canadians who know it. It's kind of a magical town like Virgin River. What's it like to be able to have this career that is so epically worldwide, but be still based in Canada?
It's super blessed to be able to do that. I had lived in LA for about 15 years before, for the first 3 seasons, we were kind of going back and forth, back and forth. And then in 2020, we found out that we were pregnant with our third. My wife and I kind of like, maybe we should just, put down roots out here. We fell in love with it and we built a house out here. And to give my kids the type of upbringing that I was so fortunate to have. I don't think people realize quite how lucky we are to have like childhoods in Canada. It's one of the best places to have a childhood. My kids still very much have a free range lifestyle when they're out after school. And so yeah, proud and very grateful to be able to give them that.
Well, Virgin River obviously set in Northern California, but shot in British Columbia. It's my home province too. What do you find from the show are the locations that people want to go to the most and try to track down? When you're going into what will be your next season, season 8, I'm sure you have the tourists that come for Virgin River itself, the show.
Yeah, it's wild. I think there's like an unofficial map of like all the different main spots we film, and people will come here as groups from overseas or like all the way all over the world, and they'll tour these areas and they'll track down where we're shooting on set and come find us. So very rabid fans that definitely want to know where everything's filmed and everything's done. And yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous out here. The show, I always refer to it as the main character. Virgin River is the main character of the show. And it's so beautiful and it's so stunning, and the way that it's captured by our amazing crew is done so well. So I'm often, when I'm at work, I'm like, oh, this is insane, this is so pretty. So it's great people can experience that, and it's kind of a window into Canada for a lot of people, even though we kind of, people say it's Northern California, but if you just skip a few states and go across the border.
Vancouver's Hollywood North, I think, right?
Yes,
Anyway.
yes, exactly.
When it comes to Brady's relationship with Bree this season, it evolved in a really special way too. What was that like, working with another actor to evolve a relationship that so many of us have come to love and follow?
Yeah, Zibby Allen, who plays Bree, is such a special person and a terrific actress. Very much won the scene partner lottery with her. We get along really well as castmates, but also as friends. And we have this rapport and this commitment to our characters and their relationship to each other that, whenever we get scenes, we're immediately talking about how we want to play them, how we want to grow this relationship, what elements we want to create, and how we're going to adjust our day when we get to set. And so Zuby and I take our jobs very seriously, and I think, a lot of actors do, but we put extra thought into crafting the performance so that, that it resonates. And I'm really glad that people do find it resonate.
If I could describe the season in one word, it would be hard to pick. I'm going to say cliffhangers, though, for a lot of reasons, and I know you know why. How would you describe it in one word?
This season, oh my gosh, in one word, that's so tough. Fire, maybe? Fire? Get like
Literally, metaphorically,
like in the emoji sense of the word, maybe.
I was gonna say, yeah, literally, metaphorically, all the things.
Yes.
Definitely, that works. But when it comes to what I think a lot of people who are fans of the show who have already watched season 7 want to know is, we've heard you say in other interviews that we don't know what Brady's future is on Virgin River. So I'm going to need you to elaborate without me spoiling anything.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, Brady obviously at the end of the season there he has a unfortunate accident that puts him in an interesting position for this upcoming season. And like really truly we don't know what's going to happen with the character. I mean, I know what's going to happen to the character, but as far as the audience goes, they do not. And it could go multiple different ways. But I've said a number of times that the guy's been, he's been stabbed in prison. He survived multiple tours in Iraq. He has been nearly burnt. He's gone through a lot, so I'm optimistic for it. And I do think that Brady adds an element to Virgin River that is unique. So I would certainly feel bad for Brady and the actor that plays him if he was no longer on the show.
We would miss you a great deal too. So please let producers know you are definitely one of
Yeah.
our favorites
Go ahead and write that
here.
in, guys. If you all, I'll give you the hashtag handle for the showrunners.
We will start the Save Brady hashtag if need be,
Yes.
but I'm hoping it won't be a need be. What is it about season 8? If Brady returns, you still have left to explore with him as a character.
Gosh, so much because I just feel like he's just getting his footing as a man, and this kind of new found belonging. He's really starting to feel like now that he's worked as a firefighter that he's really becoming more of the community now, and with that, there's a lot of you don't just become part of the community because you're now present within it. I think you have to get other people to accept that you're now a part of that community. And you still got relationships that are fairly fractured throughout the community that he's going to have to navigate, and convince people that he's no longer the old Brady. So, yeah, lots of opportunity for storylines.
Did you take any of your own growing up in a smaller city, in a smaller location that has a real community base? Did you take inspiration from that to approach what it is to live in a small town where people are interconnected? And it does matter, like you say, you don't just join a community, you have to actively engage.
Yeah. I think I don't know if I to draw inspiration from it because I think it's more about understanding what it's like to kind of live within it and know that like, you know, Brady and I have a very different upbringing in life, and I was very, very fortunate to have the family that I had, and my mom and dad were such great parents and then great siblings, and I was involved with like baseball and the community, very much not what Brady had when he was growing up, and so, but yeah, like I think the main reason our show is so popular is because it highlights a sense of community that not a lot of shows do. And at a time where we're kind of losing touch with that, I say this all the time, but people are now know more about strangers on their Instagram or Facebook pages than they do about their neighbors because we're not spending the time with people as much. And instead of at the hockey arenas, you look around and people are looking down at their phones instead of having their morning Tim Hortons talking to other parents. And so in small communities, I feel like that happens less. You have more people, you see them you see them at the grocery store, you see them at the bank, and you see them at the hockey rink, you see them in multiple places. And so you naturally form this relationship, and that's the gold about living in these small communities.
Do you think that's why the show resonates so much with people, regardless of whether they're in a huge city of millions of people or a small town, because of that sense of community? What do you think speaks to this long-running success of this show that is really at a level that you don't see shows these days reach? It's so rare to become this big.
Yeah, absolutely. I without a doubt. I mean, I think that there's multiple studies done showing that Nordic countries people are the most happy because of their sense of community, because they have this very community-based living where they champion this idea of community. And I think that we all want to live in a Virgin River where our neighbors clock when we're not doing so well, and they step up when we need help, and they're there for each other, and you feel like you're a part of something. And I think when we do feel we're a part of something bigger than just us, that's where we feel fulfilled and we feel happy and we feel, loved. And those are great things to feel. And honestly, one more little thing I'll say about this is, for me, there's also this element that we're providing people a sense of comfort and maybe a pretty unprecedented, uncomfortable time. And I think that is another thing that's not overlooked by any of us. The importance of actually having entertainment that does that, that isn't just surface level, that has depth to it, that has, complex stories and themes in it, but does provide that sense of comfort because, we need that.
Mhm. While we are on the topic of neighbors and community, I must confess that my very real life neighbor is John Ralston, who plays Roland on your show.
Oh, really cool. Nice.
Who left you with another big cliffhanger. Anything you can shed light on in terms of where he left us at the end of the season, or any messages for his character for season 8?
I mean, I feel like there's so many different characters in the show that Brady doesn't even get to interact with because there's so many, moving parts with it all. And there's a lot of cliffhangers, but here's the thing I'll say, because I can't really comment on any of them, other than I feel like we do a great job when we come back that they're all kind of addressed. So I'm sorry that you have to wait. I wish you didn't have to. I wish we were just like, able to turn them out. I will say this, Netflix, to their defense, they have a lot of different languages that they dub our show into. So once we finish our show, there's a moment where I send they send my performance off to 25 different Bradys in different languages, and those Bradys have to make my words German or Spanish or, French or whatever the language is that they're dubbing it into. And so I always think I'd be really cool if they could like fly all the other Bradys into set one day and we could have like they could do a live dubbing of my performance. But yeah, that takes time. It's actually, they have to rewrite the script because things don't translate, as everyone knows, like word for word. So that takes time as well. So that's unique to Netflix that other shows don't necessarily have to do.
And that must change. I mean, when you think about how that impacts your life, you, Benjamin, I'm trying to remember, this was a while ago. I was talking to someone who had traveled with someone who was a Virgin River actor, and they were overseas. And he said, you wouldn't believe, we went into a pub in, I can't remember what country, but everybody knew the show. So imagine that is the experience, and you're recognized everywhere. How has it changed your experience as a human in the world when everyone knows who you are? I'm sure that has its awkward moments, but it also must mean, in terms of opportunities that you're offered as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's no escaping it. No matter where we go on vacation, some little village in Fiji, barely. I was like, I don't want to be rude, but how do you guys have Netflix? I don't. But they're like, we all get together. There's one spot where when she's like, we watch it with 50 people. I'm like, 50 people gather around one TV. He's like, yeah, and we watch it. And I was like, and like unbelievable. But no matter where you go, my kids will attest to this. There's a Virgin River fan, and they're all the nicest people in the world. We really have the best fans. I think because our show is such based in community, has such wonderful themes with it. It attracts a certain viewer too that champions those morals. So they're very, very nice, very considerate, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
When it comes to opportunities, it's opening or it might open down the road. I know you've said you've thought about directing. What are kind of the 5-10 year long-term goals for you down the road?
I definitely want to direct. I One of the things that is great about directing your own project is you really get to tell the story you want to tell. As an actor, you kind of get the script, and that's the story you're telling. You can tell it uniquely within that, but being a director, you can kind of that's your medium, your voice. But also, it gives me the ability to play different roles that people might not normally see me as. I was very fortunate to get into the National Theatre School in Montreal. Very, very prestigious and difficult school to get into, and it's a tough conservatory. It's 3 years long, and 12-hour days and 6 days a week, and so yeah, I've put in my dues for it, and anytime I get to stretch my range and play characters that are very different from Brady or myself, it's fun for me. It's kind of like teleporting a bit. So yeah, I think as people watch my career, I think people will be surprised about where I go next.
My co-host Jonathan Britton of Good Day from the Bay went to National Theatre School, and he sings its praises all the time. I know what a challenging school, an incredible school that is, and that's a wonderful step into the acting world. But what other advice would you give people who might be from a small town in Canada who want to go down the acting road, especially now that we have so many opportunities right here in our own country?
Yeah, I would say follow your dream. Absolutely. I feel like I've seen some actors say this, that if you love anything else, do something else. And I think that that's wrong. I strongly disagree with that. I think that if your heart is in it, being successful can have many different meanings. It doesn't mean being on, 8 seasons of a Netflix series. It can actually mean that you do, 2 shows a year of your regional theater company, and you get to do that. The thing about acting is it also teaches you empathy, which is such an important element to life. If you can find empathy, you will also find that you're more caring in life. It allows you the confidence and voice to be able to stand up in front of people and confidently give talks, or it makes you more comfortable within your own skin, because you realize that we're all very much more similar than we appear. And yeah, don't stop. You need to be resilient. I've had over 1,000 no's. I'm not joking. I've had someone say no over 1,000 times throughout my career. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think it's got to be up over 1,000. And no one talks about those, but they'll interview you on the yeses. But it is something that is part of the career, part of the business, and part of it. And it's not a no about who you are. It's more of just that's not the story they're wanting to tell, or that might not be the time or the what you can offer the character. So it's a lot less about you personally, and more just about what's right for the story. So, but yeah, follow your heart and do it, and go all in. And I say this to my kids all the time: follow your heart, believe in yourself, and then no matter what, mommy and daddy always love you. So, no matter what, your parents will always love you if you're successful or not. That has no change.
Well, I have to point out the success that I see, because as a journalist, it's very rare that I would get to talk to someone who started a character so many years ago, who now is still playing that character. It really is just such a rare gift for an actor. So when you look at this opportunity, does it feel surreal that you've had this extraordinary gift? It really is that rare in Hollywood to get to play a character so long.
Yeah, it for sure is, and absolutely unbelievably grateful to be able to do it. And it's we talk about I don't know if manifesting is the word, but when I was a kid, I didn't just dream of doing it. I actually saw myself doing it in a weird way. And so, although as surreal as it is, this is almost I'm living out a dream in a way. So I am very grateful. I put in a lot of hard work, but there's also a lot of actors out there who work just as hard and aren't unable to, have had this type of success. So I'm humbly grateful.
Well, I'm hoping you're manifesting Brady in season 8 right now. I know we are, and I can't thank you enough for your time today. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That was my interview with Benjamin Hollingsworth of Virgin River. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.